You're listening to Faith Football Fans, where we talk about your Atlanta Falcons all year long with Toby D.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Toby D, and you have tuned in to my Christian audio podcast, Faith Football Fans. Now, what I want to talk about is looking into the Atlanta Falcons locker in 2017. And I have some combination numbers that we're going to use to see what is in the Falcons locker for this upcoming season. And the first combination number that I want to use is 13. Now, that 13, of course, is the 13 teams that don't have a Super Bowl as of right now. And yes, unfortunately, that does mean the Atlanta Falcons. But there's also another team within our division that you all know that don't have a Super Bowl on those, one of the 13 teams, and that is the Carolina Panthers. Which brings me to my next combination, 5. That 5 is the 5 years that both the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons have won the division and have at least won one NFC championship and have been to a Super Bowl within those 5 years since 2012 when the Falcons went to the NFC championship. Now, if there's any city that has been trying to win a Lombardi, it has been those two teams. Now, within those 5 years also, New Orleans Saints fans have had to endure 4 out of those 5 years, 4, 7, and 9 seasons. Yes, I said it, 4, 7, and 9 seasons since 2012. One of those years, of course, we know Sean Payton was not there because he was suspended for the bounty gate that went down. They came back in 2013 after Sean Payton's rest off for that whole year, went 11-5, made the playoffs, won the wild card round against the Detroit Lions, went up into Seattle and got whipped, and they finished the season 12-6. They was out. But after that, ladies and gentlemen, they went 3 straight seasons after that. 7-9, currently 2016. Now, my next combination is 3. But what do you think that 3 means? It's still within the division. That is the amount of coaches that the Tampa Bay Bucks have gone through since 2012 season. Greg Schiano, Lovie Smith, and now Dirk Cutter. Now, I don't know how you think you can be a consistent winning team, although you went 9-7 under Dirk Cutter, when you continue to change coaches the way that you do. Now, if someone can answer that for me, please do. Tampa Bay fans, somebody, let me know, because I don't see how you feel like you can do that. Now, my next combination number is 16. I'm looking at this regular season schedule. And yes, I know there is the possibility cloud of a Super Bowl hangover, especially after that loss Falcons went through. You would expect people to be down at this point. But that schedule leads me to believe Falcons can get back into the playoffs. Now, whether they win the division or not, I don't know. I feel like they can. But you heard me just mention about the Carolina Panthers. And by the way, even though they had a down year, Ron Rivera's division record in the division was very impressive. Now, I don't remember exactly what that record was. If a Carolina Panthers fan is listening to this, let me know. But they showed it during the second game we played them in Carolina, and I was like, whoa, he's pretty much dominated this division. So they could easily get back to where they need to be with this draft and really cleaning up some things and be back right in it with the Atlanta Falcons. Now, that, of course, has Tampa Bay and New Orleans Saints, who do have a Super Bowl, caught in the crossfire because they have not been able to get over the hump over the Atlanta Falcons or the Carolina Panthers. Now, of course, I mentioned that 5 and the combination. Falcons winning 2 NFC South titles versus the 3 that the Carolina Panthers have won in a row. But both of our teams have pretty much dominated in the division. And despite all the talent and the heartthrob that people have for Tampa Bay, they have yet to figure out how to rise to the occasion versus these 2 teams. And if you remember, I just said about the Saints, they 7-9. How do you go 7-9? 4 out of the 5 seasons. I don't know how you do that. But apparently, if nothing else, they can go 7-9, period. Now, if you want to continue paying guys like Mickey Loomis, Sean Payton, and Drew Brees to just get poor talent, especially on the defensive side of the ball, and you got dead money of over $40 million, which is players that are not even in the NFL probably currently anymore, sitting at home collecting money from the New Orleans Saints. And you feel like you're going to be able to compete for the division. Now, that could happen. Somehow, Sean Payton can figure out how to navigate through all of that mess and could win the division. Now, same thing with the Tampa Bay Bucks. Maybe they can finally figure out with another draft, provided they don't draft another kicker in the second round, because the verdict is still out on Aguayo on what type of kicker he really is. Maybe they can, with another draft, get over that edge or over that hump and beat the Atlanta Falcons or the Carolina Panthers. Now, we know they beat the Falcons once last season and they swept the Carolina Panthers. Doesn't mean much. They swept us the year before in 2015, but look what happened to us. So, just because you have those sweeps, that still doesn't get you over the hump. How much does that really tell you about your team? I don't know. That'll be something that is still a mystery right now, today. Which brings me to my next combination. The last one, number 2. The number 2 is the 2 years that it only took Dan Quinn of a 5-year agreement that he made with the Atlanta Falcons to get us to a Super Bowl. Now, I know a lot of people are upset right now because of what happened. They didn't like the outcome of it. But it is what it is, and it's done. There's nothing you can do about it. You can blame Kyle Shanahan, you can blame Matt Ryan, Devontae Freeman, or anybody else for that matter. Can't change what just happened. You can't change the fact of us getting beat by possibly the greatest coach and quarterback duo of all time. The GOATs, if you will. It's hard to get mad at Dan Quinn's coaching style. Now, I know a lot of people don't really understand this, and I'm hearing a lot of folks talking about Dan Quinn should be fired and all this kind of craziness. And Kyle Shanahan, they like to hang him. You got players talking about they want to beat him up, or they would beat him up if they were still on the team. And I'm like, there's nothing you can do about that now. He's a San Francisco 49er. Kyle Shanahan is gone. And whatever's coming to him is coming. He's got a 6-year deal with a team that I don't see where they're going to be even competing in the NFC for quite some time. But we'll see how it goes in that division, because he's in a tough division in the West. So we'll see how he builds the team. He's finally with a team now where he can control everything and do kind of what he wants. So, hey, he won't have anybody to be butting heads with him unless John Lynch decides to do that. We'll see how that works. I don't know how that's going to even work out. You got a guy that's inexperienced as being a GM. And I don't know how that is going to even work, that type of relationship. But we'll see. John Lynch is over player personnel, but just like with Dan Quinn, Kyle Shanahan, of course, has control over the 53 and who's going to be on that roster. So we'll see how much Kyle Shanahan has learned from Dan Quinn since he's been here under him those 2 years. But let's get back to Dan Quinn, the last combination. A lot of people seem to be expecting that Dan is going to get down on his knees and tell the city that he's sorry for losing them the Lombardi. Now, if that's what you're looking for, you may well be waiting a long time. Dan already told you that he owned up to the things and the decisions that was made. But you think he's going to cry at the end of the day? No. Number one, this is his team. For the people who say, okay, Dan Quinn is a defensive-minded guy, he was hired for his defensive mind, not his offensive mind. Wrong. Dan was hired because of his vision for the defense and how he wanted it run and the offense. So at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, that offense and defense is Dan Quinn's. His vision is what's reigning over both that defense and offense. Now, maybe some of you gotten caught up into what other people were saying, but you go back to that presser and you listen to what Arthur Blank said when he introduced him. What did he say? That Dan has a vision for the offense that I'm sure he will share with you as this presser goes on. And Dan Quinn did exactly that when he was asked about his vision of the offense. So this offense is what Dan Quinn wants to do, not anybody else. Kyle Shanahan was just fortunate to be a part of it. If Dan Quinn didn't like the decisions that Kyle Shanahan was making, do you think he would not have said something? I highly doubt it. Because it's his team. He saw some things that he agreed with when Kyle Shanahan was calling those aggressive plays. It just didn't work out. It's done. Ladies and gentlemen, what you saw was a Falcons team that has been scoring mega points on many teams basically all season get Buster Douglas. Now, I mentioned Buster Douglas because Dan Quinn likes to use the analogies of fighters, especially when he's talking to his team. You will hear him use certain fighters that he would name to represent certain places his team is at from a mental and physical standpoint, or where he would like for them to be going into a game. Now, many who remember that Buster Douglas and Mike Tyson fight, and I know it sounds funny because really, New England should be Mike Tyson and we should be Buster Douglas, but that was not the case in this instance. Buster Douglas was getting his behind torn up. And normally, Mike Tyson would have won fights like that. Same thing with us. Normally, we're blowing teams away, and before the second half even gets there, that game is pretty much over. But unfortunately for us, the New England Patriots had enough stamina to hang on, and we were the ones that came out on the rough end or the wrong end of the stick. We went in there blowing them out like we normally do, but apparently could not put up enough points like we normally do before that half to put them away. So then when we got to the half, we score a few more points, it's a done deal. Our ingredients that we've been using got stopped, period. We went in like Mike Tyson, looking at the fact, we about to do the same thing to New England that we've been doing to everybody else. And if you saw the clip with Taylor Gabriel talking to Mohamed Sanu on the sideline, and he's trying to tell him, hey, this is Tom Brady we're playing against, man. We got to just calm down a minute. And Mohamed Sanu telling them, hey, man, we about to put 40 up on them. They've never seen anything like this. Well, it didn't happen. We didn't put those 40 points up like we normally do. It looked like it, but just like Mike Tyson, who knocked out Buster Douglas so many times, thought that fight should have been over. Douglas hangs around and ends up knocking him out and becoming the story of all times, never really having to fight again. Now, he fought Holyfield, and we saw the results for that. and got his behind whipped. But he will always go down as being the guy who beat Mike Tyson at the top of his game. No one else will really get that credit. Now, Holyfield did beat Mike Tyson twice. But by this time, Mike Tyson wasn't the same guy that he was when Buster Douglas caught him. Not to take away anything from Holyfield. It was two great fights. I actually had Mike Tyson winning the first one, but Holyfield came through and beat him down to get it. Got his ear bitten off in the second one because Mike Tyson got tired of those constant headbutts that were being given to him by Holyfield. But that's another thing. But this is how Dan Quinn coaches, y'all. He coaches with an aggressive style. And with that aggressive style, what they say, high risk, high reward. Well, we know what happens when those risks don't pay off. You're going to lose in a big way. But if you gamble well and it works, you're going to win in an even bigger way. And unfortunately, his gambles did not work in this game, period. But his motto is, the only fight that matters is the one that you're in. And he recognizes that this was a good doggone grudge match. And it just so happens that New England turned out to be the better one to win that match that day. But it's not the end of the world. Because when you listen to guys like Matt Ryan and Julio Jones after that game in their pressers, yeah, were they sad about it? Yes, they were. But they believe that they are a great team. They just weren't good that day. They played well all the way up to a certain point, and it stopped. But that's not going to stop them from coming back next season and being even hungrier. And we're going to get into talking about some of the coaches that they've hired because, as you all very well know, they've let a lot of coaches go and made a lot of coaching changes within their coaching staff going into 2017. And a lot of people are nervous about it. They don't know what the outcome is going to be, and they're thinking about this possible Super Bowl hangover that this team could go into during the 2017 season. I'm hoping that don't happen. But a lot of fans are thinking about that. My only thing that I'm concerned about is injuries, because we went through pretty much a successful year other than losing some key parts, but still being able to hold it together, of not having a lot of our guys hurt to where we had enough depth to make it to the Super Bowl, and we're the only team to have all 5 offensive linemen to go through the whole season together. I don't know if that's going to happen in 2017. We should see. Even with Alex Mack having a broken leg, he still played well. Now, he gave way later on in the game, but that was to be expected. It just is what it is. But not for one second do I not believe that the Falcons have a chance to get back. It's just going to be a matter of where all the other teams in our division stand as well. It's a very competitive division. But so far, like I mentioned, I feel good about it. Other than the Carolina Panthers, you got a 7-9 Saints team that has not been able to get over that hump the last 4 out of 5 years. And you got a team that changes coaches like day and night. Now, that's all I'm going to say on that. I went over my music, but I don't really even care. Hey, subscribe, like, share. Let me know how you're feeling right now after 2 weeks of the Super Bowl. Are you still feeling it? Are you starting to heal from it? That's it for me, Toby D. Faith Football Fans. Peace. I'm out.
Thanks for tuning into Faith Football Fans with Toby D, your dependable Atlanta Falcons fan, talking about Atlanta Falcons football. Tune in next time.